Planning has to be a part of everything. It cannot be ad hoc. There are times when things are ad hoc. Sometimes, your child falls ill. What do you do? Or there is a situation in office which is like a firefighting situation which you can never predict. When you have created credibility in an organization, when you are true to your work, true with your intentions, I think people around you also collaborate to help you.
Dealing with a woman customer, you need to be highly sensitive.
Absolutely.
So how do you deal with that?
So for example, like you cannot fit a customer just like that. You need to ask for consent. That's the first question. May I measure you, ma'am?
Awesome.
And that's what they do, right? So that's how it goes. There is once in a year, we get an external consultant who does a training for them on grooming. How it is important to keep yourself well groomed. And that is just not about work, but that also gives you a confidence across, at home as well. When it comes to diversity, we cater to an audience or a consumer which is very diverse. There's men, there's women, there's across age group, because there are mass products, there are premium products, etc. Right? If you have a diverse set of work population, employees within the organization, it's easier to get to understand your diverse consumers also.
Yeah.
Generally happens on a men's day when they will say, "Tum women's day to celebrate karte ho, to men's day kyun nahi karte?" So in fact, last year we did celebrate the men's day as well.
What's your favorite book?
1,000 Splendid Suns by Khalid Hosseini.
What's your favorite hobby?
I love to travel.
A woman leader who you look up to?
Indira Nooyi and somebody like even Arundhati Bhattacharya.
What's your leadership style?
Assertive. I think I like to be firm, but then I also like to be fair. It's just not about money. See, money can keep you engaged for a certain time, right? Coming every day to work, money can't get you that. So I love what I'm doing.
Before I actually talk to you, Sreeja, I first want to tell you about Sreeja. So I met Sreeja in Modernic when I was doing a project with them, and it has been two and a half, 3 years of knowing you, right?
Yeah.
We instantly clicked, first of all. Second, I think Sreeja was somebody I thought is more of my classmate, and we really had fun. We were not working like a vendor partner or an HR department. We were just like superbly comfortable, and that's how we met.
Yes.
And Sreeja, I just quickly want to tell you something very amazing. Why I wanted Sreeja to be on our podcast is that she was on her maternity leave when she got her offer for CHRO. Sreeja, welcome on Office Tales and People podcast from Shikha and from...
Hi, welcome to our podcast.
First of all, तुम्हें हमारे podcast का नाम कैसे लगा?
The first time when I had that intro video, जब मैंने पहली बार देखा, I was like, OTP. Took me a little time. What are they talking about? But then I think that's a brilliant word that you guys have.
Yes.
That's something that stays, with people, with everyone. So yes.
In fact, हम दोनों host ही कर रहे हैं. हमने नाम भी बहुत ही collaboratively रखा, right?
Correct.
I said कि प्रियंका मुझे ना हमारे podcast का नाम Office Tales and People Matters के से कुछ ऐसा related रखना है. तो उसने कहा Office Tales People, isn't it OTP? And it just
clicks. Yes.
Right? So वो बहुत ही organic था. तो we just started. Now that we have started, and now that Sreeja is here, Priyanka, should you be starting?
Yes, absolutely, Sreeja. I'm really excited to know. Shikha told me about this earlier, and she introduced to you right now as well, saying that you got this opportunity to become the CHRO of Modernic while you were in maternity leave. So this is not something that we hear regularly in corporate, right? Yeah. It's very rare that you get this kind of opportunity, especially when you're on maternity. And I really want you to tell the audience your story.
So honestly, although it may sound very happy and you guys are, the way you're asking, but when I got to know about it, it was overwhelming. For a few reasons, of course. So, when I was in maternity, 1 month, just before joining back a month ago, where I was setting up ki now I will ask my, reporting manager saying that another 1 month of work from home and maybe slowly settle into the role with the second kid, is when I get a call from him saying that, if it's possible for you, why don't you come down to office, to have a conversation. I said, okay. I come to office, and then, he slowly eases me into the whole thing and tells me, first of all, that he is planning to move out.
Oh my God.
Right? And that was a setback, because when I joined this organization, it was him and our previous chairman. They were the ones who who interviewed me, and the kind of people they were, both Sunil and Sanchayan. I had that instant thing saying that yes, I want to be here. It feels good. It feels home, and it was exactly like that when I joined. Right? Coming from an established setup, coming to here an organization which was like a T20 race, that hustle, that pressure, everything. But they helped me settle, and the whole journey of 3 years, we had come so close and well bonded that the decision of him going was a bigger setback than him announcing, saying that, what, Sreeja, we want you to take up this role.
So it must have taken you a bit of time for it to sink in.
To sink in, to
Yes.
settle, and it was not that happy thing that your promotion is announced.
So you were confused
Honestly,
between
I was confused.
being happy for your role or for your managers announcing you that he's leaving.
In fact, it was not even a choice. Because one is, of course, him leaving. Second is, now that I have this choice and this big decision is on my head, whether to take it or not, with the situation at home where I was thinking I will slowly ease into it, it was very different.
Absolutely.
And I said, okay, let me think about it. And but for him, it was like, you're taking it up, right?
Yeah.
And then he said, tomorrow morning we are announcing it to the leadership
Oh
team.
my God. So you literally had like one night.
One night. So I said, okay, fair. The next day, so I went home. I spoke to my family. Dad, mom were like, take it. My husband was, nobody said that, don't, right? Take it. Just see that how we will manage the whole thing. And I texted him at 8:30 the next morning. I said, please hold. I want to think. I want some time.
Still more time.
Still, and 9 o'clock was the meeting. He said, okay, we will go ahead with my announcement, but your name, let's hold it back. But if you have some time today also, just come to office. Even the chairman would want to meet you. I said, fair. So I came to office. My boss had a conversation, another an hour with me, telling me why I should
Take this
not
on.
say a no and take this up. Then I met Sunil. Sunil sat with me down for 2 hours. He again said that why I should take up this role. He called Shikha, and Shikha was the new CEO announced just then. And he would be my future reporting manager, right? He was called in. And honestly, Shikha and Priyanka, instead of me telling why I should not take this role or why I should take this role, they had more confidence in me, saying that why not, you can do it. And why do you think you cannot do it? That was the question they asked me. And I said, okay, I don't know whether I'll be able to do justice to this role. I'm somebody who puts more than 100% into something that you're doing. And with a kid at home, my priorities will be, sometimes I'll do, vaccination hai, go home early. She's not well, go home early. Manage thing, weekends, I may not be able to give that extended time. So all those things were in my head. I said, and with the way we had built the whole organization since the start, and the role that my reporting manager Sanchayan had played, I knew I had to fill in two bigger shoes, right? But I think the way they came out, they said, we know you're just getting into the role. This is the first time for you. So, the expectations from you are also calibrated accordingly. Right?
That's
and we
great.
know that you're there 70%. The rest of the support that you need, we are there to do that. Like, what do you want? You want flexibility. If you have to travel, do you want, take your nanny and kid with you. We have no issues with that. Right? You may want to work from home. You may want to leave early for some time. That's okay. If those are the things that you want us to adjust, that's fair. That's not a big ask.
So, what you just shared with us, I just want her to also share one more thing, that, of course, it's the real support that you got from your leaders, your managers, and usually women do not get this kind of support. And if they are looking for right mentors, do you think you have any specific advice for women when they are growing in their careers? What should or how should they spot the right mentors or somebody who they can bank upon, and everybody needs support. Everybody
of
needs
course.
support to step up the ladder. What advice would you give to such women?
So, see, I would say finding mentors. Okay, I would say that I've been lucky having so many of them. And honestly, they promised me that they will be there always with me whenever I need them, right? And trust me, today also I reach out to them and their response comes like this.
So can you give us some red flags for mentors or some green flags for mentors?
See, honestly, you choose your own mentors, right? It is a frequency. It is वो radio पे होता है ना that you
adjust thoda sa.
adjust करते हो, then you click the right one.
Yeah.
It's like that. It is not that it's not one size fits all. It is about with whom you click, your principles, your value systems, your way of looking things. There will be brilliant mentors out there, but if your frequency doesn't click, you may not find that you can open up to a person like that.
Right.
But if you find the right person where the frequency matches, you open up, you start sharing, you start reaching out, and I think that's how you spot mentors. So it's all about with whom that frequency matches, and are those people welcoming to mentor you? At the same time, are you ready to accept them as mentors? So I think that's what I feel. You choose mentors. Over and above that, I also had support. So the leadership team, the Advent, which is the owner firm, right? They understood that I'm transitioning into this role. They gave me a coach, a really senior leader, who sits on the boards of many companies. She's now my coach, who's been hand-holding me for last 3 months and for another some time to transition into this role. So I think one is giving the opportunity. Second is creating the whole environment where somebody can perform. So the whole idea is, and what I hear from them is also, it's about, one, you give the role, second, how you make the person successful in that role, right? So both these things. And now this is one side of mentorship and the work. Second is, of course, the home front of it. I wouldn't have been able to do all this here, not just now. I have an elder kid also. So even before the second kid, managing the whole thing, because I have a support system at home, which also is creating that conducive home environment so that I can come and work here. So I think it's about.
So it's both. It's mentors, it's leaders,
Absolutely.
and also your home support system.
Absolutely.
So together is what you can really give in terms of being successful.
Absolutely.
In a role.
Sreeja, I just want to pick up from what you said. I really liked that part that you said that the organization recognized that you were 70% ready, right? And they were okay to go that 30% along with you, hold your hand and take you that 30%. What is that advice that you will give to other women who are all the time waiting to get 100% ready before they can put their hand up to ask for a role or a position, what would you say to them that works?
Long back, I think 4-5 years ago, and where I got this whole thing of putting your hand up. So I was part of this project Eve, which my previous organization did, where the top 35 women were a part of, so who were trained for higher level roles, etc. So there we had met one of very renowned leaders in the industry, who once said that, as women, you must always, even if you think you're 70% ready, put your hand up and say, I want to do this. And rest things fall in place, right? So I think it is important. You're never perfect. You're never ready. And it's not about just work. Even at home, even when you become a mother for the first time, anything that you do for the first time, you're never 100% ready. And this follows for every aspect of life. You learn along the journey.
Along the way.
Along the way you learn it. So I think that's the whole point. So don't take it as it's only at work that I have to put my hands up when I'm 70% ready. You, as a woman, anyways, you put your hands up. Even if it's not literal hands up, when you start a lot of journeys, you get married, you move out of your house, you have a child, you take care of your extended family.
Never ready for any of this.
Correct. But
So you're
it
saying,
happens, right?
Yeah. So you're saying take that chance
Take that
and
chance.
put your hand up and go for it.
Correct. And then, like I said, the whole mentorship thing or reach out. See, people will respond to you when you go and approach them.
Yeah.
Most of the times, even if good people may not know that you need help. So it's important to, once you've taken it up, go and reach out for help. And there is no shame in saying that I don't know. Tell me. And there are enough and more people in the world, Priyanka and Shikha, who are ready to help. The only thing is, are we going and reaching out? And there is no way, feeling small about it. I think one thing that I've learned, and I've learned more strongly in the role that I've now come in, is keep your mind and hearts open. Right? It's okay not to know things, and it's okay to learn. And you don't know where it comes from, where that
I
learning
think
comes
learning
from.
is such a skill that after a point in time, many a times we think abhi aur nahi seekhna hai, and that attitude is a problem. I feel overall when people stop learning and they feel, oh, now I'm the CEO, I'm the CHR, or I'm the X or the Y's. If they stop learning, Shrija, I think that is the end of the growth, in
nahi
my
ho sakta,
opinion.
you're
But
right.
but have you seen something like that happening around you with men, women, everybody? Like, do you think people have you met people at work who do not have learning zeal?
So, see, there are multiple kinds of people, right? There are people who I won't say that they don't have the learning zeal, but it is about ki, they're complacent. Ki this is enough. Whatever I'm doing, it's fine. So I think there has to be a balance. A lot of times we hear about, how to say a no.
Yes.
But at the same time, see, your world is all about balances. It cannot always be how to say a no. Yes, a lot of times you have to learn to say a no, but you also have to learn to say a yes to a lot of things, saying that, can I put my hands up and say, let me give it a try? Right? How can I say yes also to certain things? Take those chances, and kya hoga zyada se zyada, I would say. Right?
fail.
You fail.
Yeah.
It's not a do or a die situation. You're not.
You can learn from those failures. You can just,
And that's what somebody told me, like somebody very senior told me that it's okay to fail. The first feedback I got in my this role, and when something did not go well, and my chairman told me, I felt very bad. Honestly, I was sad, and he said, don't be sad. This was your first time and you did this. It's okay. The reason I'm telling this to you is so that you don't do that again. So when you're told about your mistakes or somewhere, you have not done well, only take it as a learning. Do not take it as a fault in you. Separate you as a person from what has happened.
right.
It's not a personal attack. It's not personal. And I think that has gone a long way in putting that thing that now when I get a feedback, it's not everything is hunky-dory. When things don't go fine, I say, no, this was for my role. What am I supposed to do? It's not that somebody has personal. If somebody had a personal issue with me, I wouldn't have been where I am.
Right.
Right?
Absolutely.
So I think that's how, and that makes your mind open to learn and accept new things.
Yeah.
Shrija, I also want to talk about, work-life balance and support systems. You touched upon it earlier, but I wanted to understand how important is this for professionals to have work-life balance and support systems.
But I want you to specially mention about women also on this part,
Yes.
especially for women, I think.
When you talk about balance, and it's not that I've not tried it, right? I've tried saying that I will go home at 6.
Yes.
I put an alarm on my phone saying that live life, and 6 o'clock I've put an alarm.
Live life.
Yeah, and then I snooze it, and then I extend. Then I
like that.
Honestly, it's there on my phone still, and then I snooze it, and then carry on, right? And then feel that guilt. Oh, I did not reach home on time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There are times in the morning when I want to reach office by 9:30, but then something happens. Maybe the baby wakes up early or something else has to be done, and I reach office at 10 or 10:30 some days, right? So, and then the guilt of not reaching office on time. So I've understood one thing. Every day if I try to monitor this balance, it disturbs me all the more.
Yeah.
Right? It creates that guilt saying that either my work is suffering or my home is suffering. And then, I don't know, that was a coincidence maybe, but just before my maternity ended, I was reading this book, My Life in Full. which is an autobiography of Indra Nooyi.
Indra Nooyi, yeah.
And then, a lot of small reels on things that she says. And I realized that it's all about prioritization more than balance. Balance puts you in the guilt when you don't achieve it. But what prioritization and a thought of accepting it, saying that, there are times when I will have to prioritize work, and there are times when I'll have to prioritize family.
Right.
That gives a better perspective than trying to find a balance every day.
I think that's a very big
Excellent.
answer for this. Always, both men and women go through this, that,
absolutely.
oh, I have to find this balance and prioritization. I think that it just deletes that feeling of guilt and allows you to focus on your task.
Absolutely.
And it just helps you achieve more than what you sometimes have
Otherwise
planned,
would, yeah.
Have you experienced any time that two priorities come up at the same time? What do you do then? That there's something very important at home as well as there's a board meeting at work and your child needs a vaccination. I don't know, both are equally important. How would you deal with that?
So, prioritization is always relative.
Yeah.
So there'll be always one better than the other, right? So there was. So we had a meeting with the board members, and that evening was my child's vaccination. Gone through this last month, 30th of September. I'll tell you the date also, right? But how did I do this? I took an appointment for evening. I knew that was going to get extended. So and so I went to the hospital. I requested the person that I will come at 5:30. I informed my reporting manager that this meeting gets over by 4:30. We have another connect till 5. I will move out. Then I will, and fortunately, I chose an hospital which is right next to the office. It's a kilometer from here. Takes me 5 minutes.
With prioritization, Priyanka and Sreeja, do you think planning is also highly important,
It is
right?
very important.
Yeah.
Planning, setting up a routine.
The support system
the
also
support system,
may
how
have
it
come
is-
handy in
it
all
becomes
of this.
it becomes important.
Right.
How you plan that part of it, so that even if you're delegating, you're rest assured that that gets taken care of.
Right, right.
And at work front also, even if you're delegating, keep those checks going so that things happen even if you're not there.
So, Sreeja, it is possible to manage two priorities at the same time if planning is robust. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Planning has to be a part of everything. It cannot be ad hoc. Planning has to be a part. There are times when things are ad hoc. Sometimes, your child falls ill. What do you do? Or there is a situation in office which is like a firefighting situation which you can never predict, right? But that's okay. So, see, those things are what I feel are sporadic. They come in between. Another thing is, see, when you have created credibility in an organization, when you're true to your work, true with your intentions, I think people around you also collaborate to help you.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? So when work is priority and you're sitting till late at times to complete that, when my kid was sick and I had to ask for a week of work from home, I went ahead and I did that and nobody had a problem with it, right? I said, fair, manage that first because now that's more important.
Right, right.
Right? So I think it does get managed. It is from my perspective. There are times where people may not have this kind of a environment where people may have to make tough choices, which also I respect. Right? Because context changes for people.
Right.
But yeah, most of the times I think if you plan well, if you have developed a certain credibility, things generally work out.
So, Sreeja, I will come to my most favorite topic, which is learning and development. As a CHRO, what kind of learning and development do you focus on to bring into your organization for people's growth, whether it's hard skills or soft skills? What kind of learning and development initiatives do you really focus on?
Sure. So, okay, let me, before I answer that question, let me go a little into history and about the organization.
Right.
See, Modernic, that ways is a 4-year-old organization. 2021 is when we launched it, right? The name Modernic. Of course, the brands are decade-old brands. Dixie is a 40-year-old brand. Enamor is a 20-year-old brand, more than that. However, when the merger was announced in 2020 and 21, that is when the whole journey of Modernic started. And from there on, the way we started building capability. So for us, the need for building capability itself started coming from that two organizations were coming together. People were taking on different roles, bigger roles, broader roles. How do we support them in building their capability also in taking up those roles, right? So we focus on role specific interventions, right? And then we also focus on certain level specific interventions when it comes to training and upskilling. So for leadership, for mid-level and senior level management, we focus on leadership development programs, management development programs. In fact, when we started with, people came together and there were people coming from different industries. They were not necessarily from apparel organizations. So it was important to induct people into what apparels are, the whole, the whole TNA and how the whole value chain moves. So we partnered with NIFT and we worked on a program on apparel management, and that was cross-functional. That was more about how this whole different teams work together to understand this concept.
Did you also include something creative for people to learn? Like, because you guys into apparel, so did you also give some kind of insight to people on design or?
Yeah, of course. So we told people right from what what a yarn is, from a yarn, how a fabric is made.
That's nice.
What is a knit fabric? What is a woven fabric? How are the different kinds of stitch that works? What is a combed cotton, what is a carded cotton, a lot of that. So, and this was just not for the design people, they of course were a part of it, but this was for the chief supply chain officer, this was for the chief sales officer, this was for the sales team. So
and
it was
the
cross-functional.
Ended, did they give you any feedback in terms of how did they feel to learn about the design aspect of?
Yeah, of course, because that made them appreciate the whole value chain and then understand that before getting into the market, what goes at the back end,
making this product.
Absolutely. And what they are selling, how it is.
Exactly.
Right? So roles those are very need specific interventions that we do. Then something for the front line, for example, and see, when two organizations come together, you also leverage the synergies, right? So Inama was, for example, a very sales training focused, a very product focused, innovation focused organization. There was a complete sales training team which was there, which would focus on the field sales team. We extended that to the Dixie side of the business also. So now when we have new joiners coming, apart from induction and product training, we have something called as fiber to fabric. So we tell people that how your product, how it is made, and then you move into what the product is. Right? So that's how we do the whole training program for them. And then there is product, and then there is customer service, which talks about soft skills, etc. to them. So that's how we are building our frontline field force.
Awesome.
Then we have, for example, for the first time managers or the people managers, right? So that's the next level. So we've started something for them in our supply chain team, in our plants, which we will now extend it to the other parts of the organization as well. So they are very need-based, the trainings. We find out what the training needs are, and that's how we work, whether it is functional or it is soft skills. Even because we have the labor population also, for them, we have continuous skill upskilling programs. For example, for our helpers. Now, if some of those helpers want to become tailors or they want to become machine operators, every 3 months we have a selection program, those who want to become, and then we put them through a training. So we have a lot of migrant workers who come from northeast and eastern part of the country to Tirupur. Right? Tirupur is a big hub for us when it comes to manufacturing. So their training, picking them from training centers, getting them here. So I think when it comes to upskilling, it is role, it is need, it is the levels that people are. I think that's how we approach capability building.
Another question, Sreeja, I want to ask you is that what do you really think about the behavioral part of training? That what's your vision in the future to bring behavioral training for white collar and blue collar in Modernic?
behavioral training is something which is still happening. So, for example, because functional training cannot work in isolation,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It is both. You understand. So, for example, for sales, it is you understand the product, but you also understand the selling
Yeah,
part of
yeah.
it, the customer service part of it, right?
Yeah.
Why grooming is important. How do you
Right.
approach a customer,
Right.
right? How you stand confident, strong. So those part are covered. Now, for example, a people manager program. People manager program is just not about the hard things. It is about the software aspect. How do you communicate? How do you share feedback? How do you have performance conversations? These are all behavioral traits and
So
aspects.
what I hear from you is that you are considering critical conversation trainings to your people.
Yes.
What I'm hearing from you is you're also telling them in terms of sales when they go out how to talk to people, what kind of
Absolutely.
connect that they need to build with their customers. So all of this you guys are focusing a lot on it.
So, for example, we have something called as Rise and Shine, which is a very specific intervention we have for our women sales workforce, because in Amar, in the large format stores and our own exclusive brand outlets, there are 450, 500 odd sales, the fit consultants, that's what we call them, and the store managers. They are our front line. They are the ones who represent the organization there, right? So every year annually we do 2 sets of trainings for them. One is a product and a fit training, that how do you fit a customer, how do you approach a customer, right? What kind of products do we have, what is the range
So
of
Sreeja, do they get sensitivity training during this process? Because they're dealing with, intimate wears and they're dealing with women customers. While you're
Yes.
a woman, still dealing with a woman customer, you need to be highly sensitive.
Absolutely.
So how do you deal with that?
So for example, like you cannot fit a customer just like that. You need to ask for consent.
Yes,
Right.
awesome.
Right? And that's what we tell them. That you
So
first,
do you
may,
talk
may
about
I measure
that?
you?
Yeah.
That's the first question. May I measure you, ma'am?
Awesome.
And that's what they do, right? So that's how it goes.
So you do put a lot of emphasis
Our
on
sales trainers
on consent
do that
as a training concept.
Yes.
Awesome.
And then there is once in a year we get an external consultant who does a training for them on grooming.
Oh.
How it is important to keep yourself well groomed, and that is just not about work, but that also gives you a confidence across, at home as well. It tells you that it's just not you as a fit consultant there, but you as a woman, you as a person,
As a person.
right?
Right.
So yes, we do focus.
Awesome. I mean, I'm
on those.
happy to hear this.
Sreeja, your organization has gone through a merger recently. Is it recent? Not really.
This was in
recent.
2021.
2021, yeah. So obviously, when such huge mergers happen, employees do have concerns, they have fears, they have anxiety. So how did you and the organization deal with these employee concerns?
See, whenever you're going through a change, like you said, concerns, because there are insecurities. See, the fear arises out of the unknown, right? When you don't know what is going to happen. That's one of the reasons. And the second reason is, of course, insecurity, that what would happen to me.
Yes.
So the two things, the way we address them, I think, one is the fear of unknown. And the unknown can be addressed only by telling people what is happening.
Yeah.
Right? So I think communication was our weapon.
Keeping them informed.
Keeping them informed, and I think over communication is never a bad thing.
And transparency never hurts.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Keep telling people. So that's what we did. We over communicated. We kept telling people of what is happening, why is it happening, trying to take them along, telling them about the process, the stages that we will go through.
Right.
So all of that, was something that was thought, because since beginning, the whole leadership team was very clear that, see, what we have to inculcate is a culture of trust,
Yes.
transparency, and openness. And in a situation where we were in, trust is the most difficult commodity, if I have to say that, in that matter. And that is what we had to win.
Right.
So the only way to do that was being absolutely clear, transparent, and fair to people. And that is what I think, we did. And then ensuring that whatever we did was based on certain principles and not ad hoc.
Right.
The principles were laid down first, that what is it that we wanted out of this merger.
Yes.
Right? So the merger happened. Now, when mergers happen and, these things, of course, the whole org goes through a redesign. because there are two organizations,
Yes.
there'll be similar roles, a lot of designations. So when two organizations merge, there are duplicate roles. Like I said, there were 450 designations, multiple work levels, etc. that we had. So we had to bring this together, but we had to bring this together in a principled, in a very scientific manner, because it was not being done for then and there. It would have a long-term impact on the organization, the people, right? So we
Right.
did it very scientifically. We got external consultants also to help us with that what is a workable structure considering the business goals, the strategy that we had, right? Once we had the boxes in place, then it was all about how do we map people to these boxes, right? So we did assessments, and the assessments also were done by the third party. It was nobody, because the organization, of course, there would be a belief that, if you
Lot of
belong to
biases
one
can come.
organization, then you are biased towards that,
Yes,
etc. So
yes.
that is the reason we got a third party who did independent assessments, shared the feedback, and then said who are the people who could be suited for the roles that we've identified, right?
So the right people in the right roles while you harmonize, I think, is one of the
Absolutely.
things that you need
Absolutely, because that's how we could bring the structure alive, right?
Yes, right, yes.
And a lot of times, again, the way I said, this organization would have seen is there could be people who were 70% ready. You're never 100% ready for something. If people were 70% ready, people were given those bigger and broader
Opportunities.
roles,
Right.
to play. And taking it back to upskilling, so for those sets, for example, we had a set of branch managers who were zonal managers for their respective businesses, but they took over all brand, all channel for their respective regions. Now that was a big role for them to handle, and that is how we partnered with one of the institutes called Soil, developing a leadership and a leadership development program for them, so that they are also equipped to take on those higher level roles, right?
Very nice.
So, putting the whole system together, the whole process, after assessments, people were given roles. See, it is not always very good. There are some people who are probably not very happy with it.
Yes.
They sometimes there are roles which are redundant, etc. But to the extent possible, we tried giving people alternate roles, what were best suited for
But
what
we
they
can't
could
keep
do.
everyone happy.
Absolutely.
We can't, right?
So did it leave scars? Maybe it did. And that's the reality.
Yes.
But I think we were able to take care of most of it.
Right.
And the way we did it, and the way we the tough decisions were approached, where the approach was more humane. I think that is something that really helped us and build the trust in people. In fact, after the whole exercise in December 21, so December 21 is when we launched Modernic. A little before that, when all this restructuring happened, every new structure that was created was communicated to people. People were told about it. There was an email with names of people going, saying that this is the new structure, this is what people will do. So that was the level of communication and transparency. After all this was done, Modernic got launched in 2021. We went for a Great Places to Work survey.
Right.
The whole idea was just to get it was a dipstick, just to understand that
see where you stand.
where we stand, right? Not that we had big expectations, etc. But we said, let's see what people are feeling, right? And honestly, to our surprise, and our trust index was at 87. The trust index was really high, despite what happened. So at least we knew that even if there were scars, people still felt that we weren't unfair to anyone, and that's the culture we wanted to bring in, right? And we got certified. Not only certified, we also got in the top hundreds. We were ranked 69th. And this was the first time we went for something like that.
Fantastic. So congratulations for that. I think if you do all of this in these kind of situations, if you give respect, trust, and I think dignity to people, I think it just goes very well. But whenever this happens, Sreeja, there is still some stress. And stress and well-being is the trend nowadays. All HRs talk about. So I just want you to throw light on a little bit on what kind of well-being practices you have in your organization.
And anything specific on mental health of people that you guys are exploring or already have explored?
Yes. So in fact, not that, because it's a journey and it's not that everything happened in the same time, but like you said, it was last year. It's now been 1.5 years when we introduced the whole employee wellness and assistance program.
Right.
So we partnered with a vendor wherein, now we provide the employee plus their family members
Excellent.
a complete platform on counseling, mental wellness, and that has everything. That is just not your mental well-being. It also has physical well-being, financial well-being. A lot of times you move around, people get transferred, you reach out to those additional help.
Yes.
All of that, we've provided them that platform where people can reach out.
Right.
Are you
Right.
seeing enough usage? Because I've seen a lot of organizations having EAPs and
Yeah.
assistant programs, but I don't see employees really using it.
Using it. That's a
Especially
very
on
standard.
mental health, because they still feel it's a taboo.
Taboo.
So how has it been in your experience?
Okay, so I agree with that point that the penetration, how much it is. But see, honestly, one is it's a program where confidentiality is. So we don't get to know that
Who has
who are the
reached out?
people who have reached out. So being able to monitor and telling people, oh, have you reached out? Have you reached out? In, for example, the way you do it for other programs, you may
You
not
can't
be
do-
able
you
to
should
But in
do
not.
for something like
percentage-wise,
that.
I'm sure you'll get it, right?
Percentage
What
wise,
percentage of
how
your
many people
employees?
registered.
Yeah.
The only thing is there are because this has the the support groups also. This has mental well-being. This has mindfulness programs. Also, people have registered for
Different things.
different
Which
things.
is good. I think it's
Right. So, and then what we also do is, because we know that we are not yet there, not 100% utilization, etc., we keep bumping people with new things which are coming in. There are webinars, there are programs that happen, and almost once or twice in a week, we send them those details saying that, if you're really keen, because see, we see mostly this as a voluntary program.
Absolutely.
And a lot of times, people who do not reach out to this reach out to their own managers and people also to talk about.
Right.
And wherever we get the sense that somebody's not well or somebody's not in the best, then we reach out. But see, this is something where you cannot push people beyond,
you should
right?
not. I
People,
agree.
this is more like you said, it is all about consent here.
Yes.
If somebody is willing to, right?
Yeah.
Somebody needs
They may
to be
feel that we are encroaching into their
So
personal
there's a very
space as
thin
well.
line.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
a very thin line. So we try
I
to
agree
maintain
on
that.
that.
We try to
Totally,
maintain
totally.
that.
Yeah.
You can't go beyond. You can provide a platform, but you really can't push people too much to go and register, because
Absolutely.
even if you have to see, making them register is again a tick mark.
Yeah.
It's all about what they want, right? So you don't want that tick mark to be there to show in a dashboard that 100% employees registered on it. Honestly,
Sreeja, I want to ask you, inclusion is everywhere in the corporate world as a term. How is Modernic looking at inclusion as a concept, and overall diversity, equity, inclusion as a very new term and I would say very new culture that every organization is aiming to bring? What's your opinion about it? How are you driving it in the organization?
honestly, when it comes to diversity, generally we start with gender, and of course, there's a lot more, right? See, we as an organization, now that we cater to an audience or a consumer which is very diverse. There's men, there's women, there's across age groups, across income levels, because there are mass products, there are premium products, etc. Right? So for us, diversity also becomes very important, because if you have a diverse set of population employees within the organization, it's easier to get to understand your diverse consumers also.
Yeah.
And that's what really I think makes a lot of business sense also, when you look at it from a business perspective. When you have DEI, you have a diverse, happy, included feeling workforce. You understand your consumers also better,
Yeah.
right? And that's been our whole context behind why do we want
So
a
is
culture which is
diversity gender
inclusive.
or customer understanding, or does it go beyond to understanding also more genders like LGBTQI community? Is there any policy in your organization that supports their inclusivity? What's your take on that?
So it's across. Like I said, gender is first thing that comes to you, but it is, it can be ethnicity, it can be sexual orientation, it can be so many things.
Right.
So diversity, generation,
Right.
age. So it's just not limited to gender. So what we did, I think it's now been 2 years that we actually published a DEI charter, where we said that why do we need DEI? The objective. There's something that we've rolled out to people, telling people that why we need, what is diversity, because most of the people think diversity is only gender, right? So telling people what is diversity, what is the role of a manager when you have a diverse working population, what is the role of an employee, because your peers, your friends, your colleagues to those, employees.
Right.
What does that mean, and then what kind of behaviors are actually required when you say that you are a inclusive organization.
Yeah.
And that's something that we've shared. We've made that DEI charter. In fact, DEI is something which is also on our board agenda.
Wow.
So we get reviewed on that, right?
Excellent.
And for example, so policies like you mentioned, so we have our insurance policy. Since from the start, when we started it, we this policy included, so generally policies have spouse and kids, right? This policy also includes same-sex partners or live-in partners.
Wow. Awesome.
So you need not have a wife or a husband, but if you have same-sex partners, live-in partners, they can be included as a part of your insurance policy.
Excellent.
So as an organization,
Really good. That's really good.
you're open to it.
So, Sreeja, what are some of the metrics you track in your DEI charter as part of that? Since you said you get reviewed, obviously there are some metrics you're tracking.
Yes. So one is, of course, the numbers, right? The male-female ratio, which, because of the industry also that we are in, it looks pretty fine. It's almost 50-50 because you have a tailored labor population, which is, predominantly women. We also have our frontline and enamor, like I said, 450 odd women workforce there. So that ways, the numbers look fine always. And hence our focus has always been, more than hiring for the existing people. How do we make it more inclusive?
Right.
So, and then we also measure across our different processes, like be it hiring. How many out of the total hires, how many women did we hire? When we do our performance appraisal, the calibration process, the rating process, we also, and this is just not gender specific, but across locations, we present to the leadership that we follow a bell curve. So how does the bell curve look, men versus women? How does it look, one region versus another region? Plant versus factory, corporate versus field and plant. We always check for those biases while the whole calibration process happen. Even when the promotions and increments happen, we try to see that gender-wise, is there a pay equity issue? Are there lesser women, deserving women getting promoted than men, or vice versa?
In fact, Modernic is also doing bias training, which I know.
Yeah.
So it's also one of the very good initiatives.
Last time we did something on embracing equity.
Awesome.
Right?
Awesome.
So those are interventions that we believe make people more sensitive about inclusivity. See, it's not that people don't want to do it, but like you said, it's an unconscious bias, right? It's about more and more you talk about it, the more people start sensing it.
Absolutely. So are there any roles where you have faced a challenge where business has pushed back saying that, women, I don't want women CVs for a specific role, anything in your organization?
So both situations arise, but that is because of a certain requirement that I want only women CVs. There's some places, for example, like I said, because of NAMR, sometimes you need only women CVs.
Of course.
No, I'm saying the other way, where they're saying I don't want women CVs for this.
See, there are times when honestly it happens, like frontline mein travel nahi kar payenge, ye nahi hoga, but then we have to counsel them, we have to tell them that, it is more about how do we create a conducive work environment. For example, we give additional allowances to women so that, they can book better places for stay when it comes to sales, right? When it's a geography, can we keep them in the metro kind of a geography so that the late night travels to remote locations
is
where
not a concern.
There are a lot of times where organization can make those adjustments to fit in
Right.
women in those frontline
Yeah.
roles, right? Which I think the leadership understands, which we understand as an organization. So I think even if somebody comes with that kind of a thing that no, because of the so and so reason I cannot have a woman, there's always a pushback saying that no, is there another way to consider this?
Right.
Rather than accepting that.
And the other way, have you experienced business coming and telling you, or men coming and telling you that now I'm feeling excluded? You
I
are
hear
having
this a
so
lot.
many,
A
so
lot.
many things you're doing for women. What about us? We are now actually feeling excluded.
Generally happens on a men's day when they will say, "तुम Women's Day तो celebrate करते हो, तो Men's Day क्यों नहीं करते?" So in fact,
Exactly.
last year we did celebrate the Men's Day as well.
Oh, great.
Right? So we had some intervention
Was it
around
out of
that.
that
Also, like,
push?
no, honestly, because this is something that we hear, but this was something which was done by another function, but being done. See, because we as an organization have products for both, right? Men
Yes,
and women.
exactly.
Right.
So I don't think it was because of the push. It was just. And that is why I said when we do the bias, this in a performance appraisal, it's just not men and it's men and women both
Right.
we
Both,
check.
yes.
Yeah.
We check across functions also. We check
Correct.
across locations also.
Right.
So it is across diversity, right?
Right.
But yeah, do we focus because we are a women heavy organization? Do we focus on specific interventions? Yes, we do. So for example, our plants do self defense martial arts training for women.
Wow.
Right?
Nice.
We have hostels because they come from the other parts of the country. Also, we have hostels with wardens, with an in-house nurse for them who stays in the hostel
Very
for their
nice.
medical help.
Yeah.
In fact, we do medical camps for them, and a lot of times we've found that those migrant workers who come, the women, have a low HB count.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And then there are menu changes done in their food accordingly to help them cope up with that.
That's
But
nice.
tell me, what would you do if one of the men around came to you and said that I want to do that martial art training? Would you allow it or would you stop it? What would you do?
I don't think we would stop that. Why
Yeah.
would, it is about inclusion again. See, doing that is exclusion.
Right.
The
exactly.
reason for doing a self-defense for women
Women,
is
they
because so
need
that you
it.
make them physically more stronger
Strong,
right.
and feel more confident about themselves. But if there's somebody else who wants to come
Join
and get
in.
involved,
Yeah.
it's not, the
It's allowed.
idea is inclusion, the idea is not
It's not
exclusion.
exclusion.
Yeah, that's just, I wanted you to
Yes.
just talk about that and clarify
Yeah.
to the audience who's listening.
So, Shrija, are you ready for the rapid fire?
Is there a hamper?
No. No,
Okay,
not
okay.
yet. Not yet. So, Priyanka, are you ready?
Absolutely, looking
Okay.
forward.
Okay.
Yes.
So, first one is, what's your favorite book?
I think the one that has had maximum impact on me was A Thousand Splendid Suns by Khalid Hosseini.
Awesome. Awesome. Nice. Nice. Okay. What's your favorite hobby?
I love to travel.
Woman leader who you look up to?
I think I already mentioned, right? I think Indira Nooyi and somebody like even Arundhati Bhattacharya.
Awesome. The next question is, what's your leadership style? Aggressive, assertive, or mild?
I think it's assertive. Assertive. I think I like to be firm, but then I also like to be fair.
So, if you had all the money in the world, Shrija, would you still choose this profession? And why?
Yes, I would still. It's not about money. See, money can keep you engaged for a certain time, right? Coming every day to work, money can't get you that. So I love what I'm doing. I think the reasons why I love what I'm doing is also maybe because of the people I have around me, right? A lovely team, a lovely set of peers, a very supportive reporting manager in Shekhar and the whole environment around. Like I said, because we build this organization, the culture on trust, fairness, openness, you'd love to be in a culture like this.
Excellent. And what is that one advice you would give women when they're choosing between leadership and parenting?
I don't know why do you have to choose between the two? I think leadership, parenting, if with right planning and with the right support systems, the right mentors, both can be managed. However, I would these are choices, right? Everybody has their own context and why somebody takes a certain decision or makes a choice. I think I respect people who do that. But if there's an opportunity, if there's a way people can manage to take up both, I would say that it's worth a try.
Awesome.
And just one last one, a quick one. What does happiness mean to you at work?
At work specifically,
Yes.
having good set of people around me, having been able to deliver my best every day is what
Keeps you going.
keeps me going. And being in the role that I am, if I can do that for everybody in the organization, I think that's what keeps me going.
Fantastic. Thank you for being here with us on OTP. We've really, really enjoyed our conversation.
Yes, thanks Sreeja so much for being on Office Tales and People podcast. We love talking to you and we loved coming all the way, making this trip to talk to you and having so much of fun.
Absolutely.
And we hope to see you soon.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Shikha, Priyanka, for having me on this.
So thank you for watching Office Tales and People podcast. And we hope to keep bringing a lot of tales from multiple organizations, from multiple leaders. Ciao.